Perhaps more than any other genre, role-playing games offer players a chance to fully immerse themselves in a world and a story. By taking control of both the character and the quest they must embark on, fans of RPGs can experience the rewarding upward climb of progression. Most RPGs tend to be hefty time sinks, but that only goes to show how immersive these titles can truly be. Luckily for those who own Xbox Game Pass, phenomenal RPG games are available at a moment's notice. Whether someone prefers JRPGs, Western epics, or indie darlings, Microsoft's subscription service has them covered. Now, it's worth noting that games come in and out of the service every month, so a game mentioned here in this list might not always remain on Xbox Game Pass forever. Welcome to Game Rant, everyone. My name is Geoffrey. Today, let's discuss 10 of the best RPGs to play right now on Xbox Game Pass. Number 10, Persona franchise. For the longest time, Persona seemed destined to remain away from Xbox consoles. However, the times are changing. Game Pass subscribers currently have access to 3 of the greatest turn-based JRPGs of all time, ones that combine for more than 200 plus hours worth of content. Persona is primarily known for its blend of dungeon crawling and social simulation, a strange mix indeed, but one that works incredibly well in execution. Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 Royal are standalone titles, meaning players can simply start with any entries that suit their fancy. Naturally, Persona 5 Royal is the most visually impressive game, and its dungeons have far more interesting designs than the more repetitive ones found in its predecessors. That said, story-wise, an argument could be made that both Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden are superior to their successor, although they all still set a high bar. Number 9, Disney Dreamlight Valley. Even though it is currently, at the time of writing and recording, in early access, Disney Dreamlight Valley already feels like a fully fleshed out experience that fans of Mickey Mouse and Friends will almost certainly adore. This life sim RPG tasks players with building a town and recruiting familiar faces from Disney's beloved animated films, including Pixar characters. To separate itself from the likes of Animal Crossing, Disney Dreamlight Valley introduces quite a few RPG mechanics into the mix, be it in the form of quests or experience points. They enhance the experience by constantly rewarding players for their actions, providing a great sense of progression. Relaxing and lovely, this game is not just for die-hard Disney lovers. Number 8, Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon is a cutthroat game that takes no prisoners. Players inherit a mansion sitting on top of a strange dungeon, so they hire heroes to explore the creepy labyrinth within. Like most RPGs, these characters come in a variety of classes and can be leveled up. Unlike most RPGs, death is permanent in Darkest Dungeon. There's nothing quite as infuriating as watching a powerful hero meet their maker, never to be seen again. Red Hook's game uses a turn-based combat system that centers around parties of 4 characters. While exploring the dungeon, players have to monitor the heroes' stress levels, along with a myriad of other mechanics. It is definitely quite the challenge, but a worthwhile one. Number 7, Rune Factory 4 Special. Debuting way back in 2006, Rune Factory strives to be a jack of all trades, which is not always a recipe for success. Along with its immediate predecessor, the 4th entry is generally regarded to be the franchise's strongest project, and the enhanced version elevates the solid vanilla experience. As a new prince, Rune Factory 4 Special puts players in charge of revamping a town, a process that involves farming, mingling, crafting, and of course dungeon crawling. Marvelous's game casts a wide net, resulting in a diverse, albeit sometimes shallow experience. However, the core gameplay loop is fun enough to keep things interesting for a few dozen hours. Generally speaking, Rune Factory 4's campaign doesn't take too many risks structurally, as the story is largely framed around the introduction of dungeons. The latter sequences are built around an isometric hack-and-slash combat system that certainly gets the job done, even if it's not especially deep. And that's probably the best way to describe Rune Factory 4. The Game Pass RPG gets the job done in nearly every area. It might not be the best dungeon crawler or farming sim on the market, but it is one of the few games to combine those elements with romance, crafting, and town building. Number 6, Chained Echoes. Chained Echoes is a throwback to classic 16-bit JRPGs that dominated the scene during the 90s. Nowadays, these sorts of projects are relatively common, but few titles manage to reach the heights seen by this 2022 release. Chained Echoes is set in Volandis, a continent divided by 3 warring kingdoms. Following the use of a powerful superweapon, the nations sign a peace treaty, but not everyone plans to honor this agreement. Players take control of a group of characters who seek to keep war at bay, a journey that will reveal some rather dark secrets. Chained Echoes' art style is simply stunning, and it is a good fit for the story being told. While taking inspiration from old-school JRPGs, the game is not afraid to shake things up. Chained Echoes opts against using traditional experience points, instead building progression on upgradable skills and crafting. This decision means that grinding is not much of a factor, so players can actually just prioritize the story. The turn-based combat system also throws in a unique concept in the form of an overdrive bar that impacts the player's performance depending on its state. Number 5. Stardew Valley. Yes, Stardew Valley is just as much of an RPG as it is a life sim game. Launching in 2016, Stardew Valley has blossomed into one of gaming's most enduring and endearing farming sims. The indie game comes packed with so much content and freedom that two people could wind up having completely different experiences. Whether planning out a year's worth of farming or sparking a romance with one of the NPCs, Stardew Valley is incredibly immersive. Offering endearing visuals, expansive customization options, and a lot to discover, this game will keep somebody playing for months and months on end, if not years. For those looking for a title that doesn't prioritize combat but is still quite challenging in places, Stardew Valley is a stellar pick. Number 4. Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord. Bannerlord is massively ambitious. Taleworlds' project blends action RPG elements with strategy mechanics, crafting an experience that is quite unlike anything else on the market. Players start from nothing as they steadily build their mercenary group, eventually seeking to take over land and spread their influence. Mount and Blade 2 can be overwhelming, particularly for people who did not play the previous games. However, it might be able to scratch an itch that no other title on Game Pass can reach. Number 3. Fable 2. Released in 2008, Fable 2 returns players to the wonderful fantasy world of Albion. All three games in the series have their positives and negatives, but Fable 2 is the most complete and satisfying experience in the trilogy. Players roam an enchanting realm as they set out to carve their own paths and highlight their unique quirks. Albion reacts to the players' actions, developing to match the choices made throughout the adventure. Fable 2 takes place in a living, breathing world that empowers users but also doesn't forget the deeds, or sometimes misdeeds, they perform. Although not amazing, the real-time combat system is serviceable and offers enough variety to remain engaging throughout the campaign. Number 2. Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom. Added to Xbox Game Pass in 2023, Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom is not simply a retread of its predecessor. Level 5's JRPG features a completely different combat system and also completely removes the Pokemon-like monster taming system. Consequently, people who did not like the first game, Wrath of the White Witch, might still enjoy its sequel, particularly if they appreciate hack-and-slash action similar to something like the Tales franchise. Even though it struggles to match the whimsy and heart of its more decorated older sibling, Revenant Kingdom still succeeds in telling a gripping story filled with memorable characters. Visually, the game looks gorgeous, and Level 5 did an impressive job of replicating Studio Ghibli's aesthetic for the cutscenes. As Revenant Kingdom has very few direct ties to its predecessor, newcomers can jump straight into the sequel without feeling like they're missing out. Number 1. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Skyrim has essentially ruled the open-world RPG roost since its unsubtle and highly anticipated release way back in 2011. That alone should be enough to showcase its necessity for any RPG enthusiast repertoire. While it can be safely accused of shedding the deeper mechanical complexities of its predecessors, the cold fact of the matter is that Bethesda did more than a few right things. Skyrim preserves the franchise's legacy of beautifully designed open worlds, filled with enough content to keep even the most dedicated gamers busy for years, while expanding the scope of its audience exponentially. It's practically gaming's equivalent to required reading at this point, and it's not hard to see why. And there we have it, 10 of the very best RPGs to enjoy on Xbox Game Pass right now. Thank you so much for watching this video from Game Rant. Have a truly wonderful and happy day. See you in the next video. Bye bye.